Emma and Jacob have their businesses separately. Jacob offers some gift products to consumers in his store. Emma sells wholesale gifts to business owners such as Jacob. For example, Jacob buys some of the products he sells from Emma. In this example, the companies managed by Jacob and Emma can be called merchandising companies. A commercial company refers to a company that buys a finished product and resells it at a relatively higher price to make a profit. There are two types of trading companies: wholesale and retail companies. In the example just given, we see that Jacob is involved in retail sales, because he sells the products he buys directly to the customer. On the other hand, Emma's company is a wholesaler, selling the products it buys from the manufacturer to retailers like Jacob. So the difference between wholesale and retail is that one sells to business owners and the other sells directly to consumers. Regardless of whether a company is engaged in wholesale or retail sales, there are certain operations it must perform. Actually, as you can guess, these are buying and selling processes. It's possible to define the purchase process as follows: obtaining the product offered by the other party by paying a certain amount of money. Depending on the size of the company, the product procurement process can be easier or more difficult. For example, going back to the example I gave at the beginning, while Jacob is buying products to sell in his store, he can simply spend a few hours walking over to Emma's store, buying the products he wants, and coming back. But for Emma, the product purchase process is not so simple. Because Emma sells to several shop owners like Jacob, she has to do larger orders. It's not easy to make a decision for such large orders. On the other hand, because she owns a larger company, Emma herself cannot directly lead this process. Instead, the purchasing manager performs this task. The manager does the necessary research and prepares information about how much to order for different products and passes that information to Emma. After Emma approves, the purchasing manager completes the process. The sales process is much easier for these two companies because during the process, the buyer is the main decision maker. After the buyer makes a decision, the products are exchanged for money. Another term related to commercial companies that I should emphasize is operating cycle. Operating cycle indicates the length of a product's operating cycle. That is, it shows how long the product stays in the store after purchase until it's sold. For example, Jacob sells the product to a customer 2 weeks after purchasing it from Emma. Therefore, the length of the operation period of this product is 2 weeks. It's clear that every commercial company must have a small or large warehouse. The products are stored in that warehouse until they're sold. But there's one point that is important to manage those warehouses. Keeping the warehouse under control informs the business owner about what product is left and how much is left. There's one last point I want to emphasize, because when talking about commercial companies, it would be wrong not to mention Walmart. Founded by Sam Walton in America in 1962, this commercial company is currently one of the largest companies in the world. One of the first factors that comes to mind when comparing wholesale versus retail is that wholesale companies tend to be larger budget companies. However, it's interesting that Walmart, which has mainly engaged in retail sales, has written its name among the largest companies with a value of $328 billion. Walmart, which had only retail stores in different countries until 2008, was named America's largest company of the year in 1981 and in 2001. It was the world's largest retailer, with $191 billion in revenue. In 2008, they opened the first wholesale store in India and started to continue their activities in 2 directions. Another interesting fact about Walmart is that it closed all its stores in Germany in 2006. Despite this, Walmart, which currently has a total of about 10,500 stores in 24 different countries, still maintains its leadership in retail sales. Although commercial companies are businesses that we often encounter in our daily lives, we try to provide as much information as possible about the types of companies mentioned in this video. Do you have any commercial stores, or have you worked for any commercial company? Don't forget to share your thoughts with us in the comments section of this video. Thanks for watching.